My name is April, and George Washington, if you could come back in time to our era, what advice would you give our country right now? And what advice would you give our current leaders?
What advice might I give to the citizens of the United States of America and the leaders of this country if I could move forward in time? That's an interesting question. I think if you take the time to read my farewell address, you will be able to see very specifically what advice I give them. But to try to sum it up, I would tell them to follow the laws in the Constitution and do nothing to break them, change them, circumvent them, because that is a road to disaster. I would tell them that they need to beware of political parties, because political parties tend to serve the party and not serve the best interest of the country or the people. I would tell them to be very careful with the money that we spend and never to go into debt. And if we would go into debt, never to pass that debt on to future generations. I would tell them to be very careful about allowing foreign nations to interfere with our government and with our process and procedures, and that we should think twice before we interfere in a foreign nations. With regard to foreign nations, we should not have permanent friends or permanent enemies. We should engage in business and commerce with all foreign countries. And finally, I would suggest that the leaders of the nation, as I have written and as you may read, conduct themselves with honor, integrity, and public virtue, and not to allow private vice to get in the way of public virtue.
Click the subscribe button below and the bell icon to get notifications for new videos about George Washington and behind-the-scenes work at Mount Vernon.